Some of the GOP candidates are still seething about Wednesday night's grossly biased debate on CNBC, saying they are prepared to take action.
Be ready to hear that the campaigns are going to not allow the networks to control this process, to marginalize the very candidates. I think there's going to be some pretty bold expressions from the joint campaigns that will be coming very soon.
I've asked my staff to reach out to all the staffs of all the other candidates, and let's talk about a different type of format.
Did the RNC just attempt to get ahead of them? The committee has pulled out of the upcoming NBC debate scheduled for February 26. In a letter to the network, Chairman Reince Priebus writes, the CNBC debate was conducted in bad faith. We need to ensure there is not a repeat performance. NBC responded with a statement calling it a disappointing development. However, along with our debate broadcast partners at Telemundo, we will work in good faith to resolve this matter with the Republican Party. The moderators on Wednesday night were widely criticized for their outrageous line of questioning.
Discussion. It was outrageous.
Yeah, it was outrageous. But you know what? This has been a pretty rapid turn of events, because what you have is outrage immediately on social media.
Yes.
You have all the candidates coming out talking afterwards from the debate saying that they didn't feel they were treated properly. This was supposed to be about the economy, what's going on in the country. And instead, you didn't see any probing, pertinent questions in that regard. Then you have the RNC taking a lot of heat and flack from the candidates who feel they didn't support them, that they didn't properly vet this debate or the moderators in the line of questioning. This is the fallout on the spin.
I think that, first of all, NBC is not yet out of that February debate. They say they have suspended the debate. They haven't said they canceled the debate. They also, NBC cleverly pulls in Telemundo, because remember, this debate will be held in Houston, right in the heart of Hispanic America. Mm-hmm. And it is inconceivable to me that the RNC or the Republican candidates will refuse to debate when one of the key issues in the entire race, immigration, impacts so profoundly the population that I'm describing. So I think that they will come to some compromise. But I totally agree that the questioning was outrageously biased. I think that the first question, which should have been the opening remarks for the various candidates, that was agreed. Instead, they asked, what was your lamest thing that ever happened to you, or what's your
biggest
weakness?
Yeah. But now you also see some Latino...
Mine is my fastball.
Conservative Latino groups coming out to support NBC because of the connection to Telemundo. So everybody's kind of like doing a little bit of the taking sides, Bolling.
So there are a bunch of Republican debates, and to Reince Priebus's credit, he spread them around. CNN got some, Fox got some business networks got some, NBC, mainstream media got them. Look at the DNC side. There's 6 debates. Where's the Fox debate? There's a CNN debate. There's a PBS debate. There's a Univision debate.
Right.
There's no Fox debate. So on the DNC side, they said Fox isn't going to get one of our debates. But on the Republican side, they say, you know what? We're going to let everyone see it. All the audiences are going to see it. I think it was a good idea. However, understanding that they can still put some restrictions. In other words, CNBC says we're going to focus on money, the economy, the debt, things like that. Force them to say, are you sure you're going to do it? Not asking for what their questions are or direct them to ask a certain thing, but force them in a corner and say, this is what the area we're going to go. And when they don't, like they failed to do on Wednesday night, then you punish them the way they're going to allegedly punish. I do think, agree with Geraldo, I think there will be an NBC debate on February 26th. This is the RNC's way of saying, hey, enough of this crap. And by the way, the next time you do this, there's no more debate for your network.
Yeah, they have to take a stand.
I just think it's not too much to ask to vet these moderators. I've seen more debates than I could possibly remember in my lifetime. This debate, the CNBC debate, will be studied in political science classes of what exactly not to do and how you bring your personal biases and your personal politics into a presidential debate. I completely agree with Reince Priebus, and tell everyone else can have a fair debate and not bring in their liberal media bias and berate these candidates. I mean, when I was watching it, I was trying to think if my father were up there, and I would have stormed the stage. It was so disrespectful, so rude, so biased. I have no problem with what's happening now, because there have to be some ground rules.
Yeah, there has to be some repercussions. And could you imagine, Greg, if this was the Democratic debate and, you know, you have Hillary Clinton on to be outraged, saying this is sexist, it's inappropriate, it's a war on women, you're not taking it seriously, instead because the Republicans are acting like, oh, this is a joke, and they're making a mockery of it.
Well, I mean, you know, Reince did this once before in August 13. He David threatened CNN, I think at NBC, because of their Hillary Clinton documentary. So in this case, it's rinse and repeat. Anyway, but this is nuts. Who did this debacle benefit most? Why do the candidates want this to stop? That debate benefited the candidates because there's nothing better than going after the media. It united the candidates. They got together. Yeah, but I don't care about that. I care about the candidates. If you're going to be David and Goliath, you want to be David, and the candidates were placed in that position where the media became Goliath. And meanwhile, CNBC, the debate is like dog poop on their shoe that they can't scrape off. I mean, they were smeared with it. So I think, you know what? If you get a biased panel.
That's a vivid metaphor.
Thank you very much. I have more of them, if you like, in my vivid metaphor booklet. But if you ever get in a position where you're David and Goliath with the media, embrace it. America loves it.
You know, it also gave the ones that aren't Donald Trump or Ben Carson another Goliath. In other words, they were going to be the Goliath, and that was going to give them more talk time. So if you look, the ones that had the biggest problem with it were the leaders. The ones that had the least amount of problem with the CNBC debate were the ones who got to stand up. Ted Cruz,
Ted Cruz was outstanding.
It helped him.
And I don't even like the guy. Yeah. I thought that he was the sharpest in terms of his criticism. The way he phrased it, he repeated the 4 silly questions that had preceded his. I thought that he was cutting.
Good memory.
He took the legs out from under the moderator.
But ultimately, America deserves better than that. I was actually looking forward to.
Well,
no, it's not. We should know the difference between each candidate and their opinions on the future of America and the economy. I sat through 2 hours of basically a clown show because these amateur moderators couldn't do their research.
Right. Well,
America deserves better than that.
And America's going to get better.
But that's not exciting.
Fox Business Network, because that debate, we're going to show them how it's done. Show them who's the daddy.
You got it.
All right, now to some other 2016 news. After failing to deliver a strong performance at Wednesday night's debate, Jeb Bush acknowledged to donors that he needs to step up his game. But he denies his campaign has plunged into a death spiral.
Ooh.
It's not on life support. We have the most money. We have the greatest organization. We're doing fine. Look, in late October of 4 years ago, Mccain was the front runner for the Republican nomination. 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton was up by 26 points against an unknown state senator named Barack Obama. Every one of these elections goes through a process.
All true. Anything can happen, but
talk about a guy who got spanked. Jeb Bush went after Marco Rubio for Senator Rubio's absence from the Senate, and I think that is an absolutely legitimate issue. Marco Rubio was primed, ready for the attack.
And why is that?
He turned it back. He said, you never raised it when John McCain, with all due respect to Senator McCain, was running. You never raised that issue. Why are you raising it now? You're only raising it because your handlers have told you that it's an effective way to attack me and I'm beating you. I thought that.
But he knew that was coming. You know that, right?
He emasculated Jeb Bush. I think that Jeb Bush now is beyond life support. I don't care if he has $100 million in the bank. He's not going to buy popularity.
By the way, you don't want to put your name in the same sentence as life support. I mean, he shouldn't have said that. It's like, it's worse than being linked to Hep C or Russell Brand. It doesn't work. When you say, my candidacy is not on life support, you are saying my candidacy is on life support, and he's coming off so stiff. He makes Queen Elizabeth look like Gumby. He needs to show America that it's more than just money that he has, because he has money, but he hasn't shown that.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's all he has.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
I think that's a good point, Eric. I think
he clearly doesn't have the personality that his brother has. He clearly doesn't have the ability to campaign like some of the other Republicans have. He has a lot of money.
But he also has a resume.
He
was
a
a good governor
This is what I'm
of
saying.
a large state.
Tremendous experience.
You know what matters a lot right now is less the resume and how you present your resume.
I know, but you know what?
Look at the picture of him. Look at the picture of him on screen right now. His tie is askew, but his shoulders are
as the only person that's been on a campaign that imploded and then came back from the dead, as the one person on this panel that has, what he needs to do, he needs to clean house with his staff, because there's a lot of people in politics.
Their fault. Meghan, it's not their fault. He got rid of his chief operating officer quit today. Like, your chief operating officer is the problem.
She actually has some inside information that we were talking about before the show that I asked her to bring up.
There's a lot of people in politics that only care about being in a book on game change and hanging out with people and will sell out their candidates. I know this better than anyone else. Yes, Jeb Bush's messaging is completely off. He's a bad candidate. He's a bad campaigner. But I also believe he has bad people around him. And I think if he cleaned house and found people that believed in him, I am living proof. I was there. that can turn around a campaign.
And you're saying, you told me that there are some of the same people that
yes,
were on your father's
people that were
campaign
fired
that were
from
problematic.
My father's campaign.
That lost.
On his.
That didn't work. I mean, this is what we're going to strive to.
He's got to do some
bring
bench
back
pressing.
and lose. Bring
No,
the
I'm
candidacy
saying
back.
He's got to beef up. I mean,
I'm saying
Eric,
new
that's not
blood.
what she's saying.
I'm sorry.
She's
I
saying
don't
that
understand why you're being so rude. I'm saying new blood on a
I'm being
campaign.
rude. I'm making a point about Jeb Bush. I'm not talking about your father. I'm talking about Jeb Bush. I think everyone's looking for a blame, and the bottom line is the guy's a bad candidate.
You know what? We're in a sad place where a good governor of a large state is a bad candidate because he's not glib enough and because he doesn't look well in suits.
Right, but guess what? So the point is experience and ability should matter, because how many years ago was everybody complaining that Barack Obama was somebody who could talk the talk and look the part, but didn't have the goods to back it up? I'm saying yes, in this day and age, you have to have the experience, you have to have the gravitas to be able to carry the day.
So you don't like Ben Carson then?
Well, you've been sitting here on this show, right? How many times did I talk about Ben Carson?
Yeah, you like him.
No, I'm saying as Americans voting in the booth, there should be more.
What about
in the worst mood today.
What about
charisma?
You have to want somebody to be in the room and hang out with you.
And also, meat and potatoes campaigning. Go out in town hall, convince the New Hampshire voters, convince Iowa voters. It's possible.
He'll do okay in New Hampshire.
Jeb Bush is not going to do okay in New Hampshire. Campaigning like that and these kind of statements, he's not. And again, I just know I've spent a significant portion of my life on campaign trails. I know how voters react. Yes, Jeb Bush has a messaging problem, but I still believe he has a staffing problem.
But you're saying there's additional problems, and you're right. And you can't have people that aren't winners on your campaign, and you can't have people that are leaking stuff to the press and trying to undermine. You know, there's a reason, like, who leaked that? The Jeb Bush blueprint to Drudge and U.S. News and World Report. I mean, it's outrageous.
But think about, can I just talk about, you bring up charisma, and I think it's very important because President Obama was persuasively correct on the candidate when he was running for president, even though he didn't have a resume. However, think about some of the leaders that we've had in the past and how they could never be president, whether it's Calvin Coolidge, who was
Herbert Hoover, Jimmy Carter. They have a lack charisma.
No, but there were leaders that couldn't be elected now. Abe Lincoln couldn't be elected now.
It's true.
But one thing we haven't mentioned yet is
you're only as good as your last tweet.
Donald Trump won that debate, and I know that there's all the pundits and all the specialists are all saying, well, Cruz and Rubio, etc. You had the Drudge survey, you had Time Magazine survey, and CNBC's own post-debate survey. Trump won it unbelievably, won it 2-1 over the nearest. He was in the high 40s. The nearest other candidate was in the low 20s.
Do you honestly think Trump won that debate?
I honestly think that Trump and Carson will set the rules now.
Do you think they won the debate? You just said he.
I think it was a non-event for Trump and Carson.
I think Chris
from my point of view, it was neither negative nor positive.
Ted Cruz did a great job. Did he not?
I think Ted Cruz did a great job.
There's still 8 more debates.
And Rubio did
really 8? Are there really 8?
There are 8
Republican.
Oh my!
But these were giant ratings. These were magnificent numbers for a network that gets 200,000 people.
And compared to during the World Series,
4 million. It beat the World Series.
Well, because it is interesting, and as Donald Trump will tell you,
but without
he was up on the stage.
Right. But without Donald Trump and Ben Carson, there is no show. I heard Governor Huckabee saying that we're all going to get together. By all getting together, what you really mean is that Carson and Trump have to get together to set the rules because the other guys.
Well, like they did for this.
Would you miss
they
anyone
said not 3 hours to make it 2.
I'd miss Rubio.
Well, Rubio.
He's got the boyish good looks.
He does.
You've grown quite fond of him.
He has.
Well, actually, he was great. He was the only one who went after Hillary persuasively.
Yes.
And had an articulate.
Probably did a little bit, but
yeah. But his was an assault on her incompetence and corruption, which was necessary.
Well, I think this really lays the stage. No jokes that this debate on Fox Business Network is going to be fantastic because now the focus is going to be on it. Let's see how this is done differently, comparatively between the two. That other business channel.
And people who actually know a little bit about politics will be hosting it, which will be a nice change.
And money.
And if you don't have FBN,
demand it. All right, that was enough. We did. Coming up on the